Sky Squad, we are back in the building. And of course, we have got to talk a little bit about Love and Marriage Huntsville since the show is coming back tomorrow. Okay. Listen, your girl Destiny is going off. Okay. Going off. Shout out to our friends over at Urban Bell Mag for picking up this story. Okay. Um, Listen, I'm gonna place the link for the live so you guys can watch that in the description, and of course, a link to the article. But Melody is, she's on the media tour right now. Martell is in the news, right? He's active on social media, but Destiny, according to this live, feels like one of them is putting out this narrative that she is a character witness for Martell. Now, as I stated to you guys earlier, Destiny has adamantly denied this. And if she said, I mean, listen, that's what it is. So she went live and she was speaking to a young lady who was asking her, whether or not she was indeed a character witness for Martell. Now, for me, I feel like the young lady that was asking the question, I feel like, listen, the best way to get the answer is to go to the source. And I respect that the young lady did that. I mean, that's what you do, right? So she went to the source, and Destiny said, I'm tired of this woe is me and Melody is this and that. I'm going to say her name because I'm sick of it. I'm going through my own stuff. I have a child as well. So for people to be dumb enough to believe that I'm a character witness against another woman, whatever I feel about her is stupid. Okay. Now, I felt right bad for the young lady that was, asking her the question, because I do feel like, although it has been stated by her in other places, the fact that the young lady asked her point blank to her face, I think it's just another opportunity to clear it up. You know what I'm saying? And I guess I just felt like, calling, the using the dumb and the stupid was, it was a little bit on the defensive end. And I feel like sometimes that works to Destiny's detriment, is the defensiveness that kind of like comes out, because I just feel like people want to support Destiny, but I also feel like, well, I'll get to how I feel about it in just a second. She says, you should know better. You should know better. You should know better. This is a narrative that I believe someone from the two parties has put out because nobody else knows about any of the cases or the stuff that I have going on. And we in the same courthouse. We got the same judge. So I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. And the reason why we know a lot about what's going on between Mel and Martell is really because Martell put a lot of that business out in the streets, and then, Melody, she, had to respond to some of that. You know what I'm saying? So that's a lot of the reason that we know what's going on with that. And we don't necessarily know what's going on with Destiny, because really it's not something that she is usually talking about on the camera, nor from what we can see a lot in interviews. Like, we don't know the details of what's happening with that. We haven't seen a lot of that play out. So it's kind of hard for people to know so much about that situation, because it's not really talked about like that on the show, right? So she then says, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. So people stop with the woe is you ain't supporting. Why would you go against? She's like, build me up too. I'm dealing with my own stuff. I just don't put it in the public because it's no one's business. So again, this goes back to, like, it's kind of like, it's a tough situation because she wants the support. She wants people to build her up too. But it's definitely difficult because the two people involved in the Melody and Martell situation are a bit more transparent about what it is that they're going through, and they tend to speak from that space, right? So, take for instance, Melody speaks from the space of a woman who has gone through this situation in the public eye and now is utilizing it as a way to motivate other women. The thing about Destiny is whether or not she was allowed to speak about it or not has hindered her ability to really connect with the audience in the same way that both Melody and Martell have been able to do. Thus, it is harder to root for her because we don't know as much about what's going on as we do with Melody or Martell. And so, because we don't have that much of that narrative, it's very difficult for us to rally behind that which we don't know. What I can say is it seems as though Destiny is going live a bit more. My advice to her would be to get in front of your storylines, right? And I hate to say storylines because y'all know how I feel about that term. But what I'm saying is get in front of your narrative, speak out about what you can and uplift and spend a lot more time like speaking life into these other women who are going through it because the blogger and the young lady identified herself as a blogger, spoke from the position of us, a mom who has gone through a custody battle. So in that dialogue, she was trying to relate to Destiny, even though she stated that she was Team Melody. I just kind of feel like, we root for you too, Destiny, but I also feel as though there's more that you could do to get your version of the story out there in a way that is not detrimental to your case, but is also um that will allow people to understand that you are going through something and you are pushing through and you got a testimony as well. I hope that makes sense because I'm trying to do this in a very constructive way without coming across as negative or any of that, because I feel like there's a way you can be politically correct but still state what you need to state your truth, without being offensive to the other party in the case, right? It's not like you can say the day to day, but you can definitely let people know that you're going through stuff. Like, it's not about the woe is me attitude as much as it is I'm surviving. I'm going to be triumphant. It's about presenting that sort of image that I felt like if I was a PR professional, that is what I would tell her to do. And the only reason I say that is because I used to work in PR. So that's a lot of times the perspective that I'm coming from. Now, we want to move on real quick to the Kandi story that we touched on yesterday. I had a lot of content that I was working on yesterday, interviews and whatnot, and I really needed to focus on those things. I did the Amy Phillips Radio Andy show yesterday. It's called Reality Checked. I recorded a podcast with B Sky and with Kempire. I'm thinking that may be out this weekend or next weekend. So there was a lot going on yesterday, and I had a ball doing all of it. But we didn't really get a chance to dive into the specifics about the unfortunate incident that happened at Kandi'S Steak and Seafood restaurant, where two employees were got into an altercation that resulted in one of the employees getting pow. Okay. We're going to say pow for the purposes of keeping the content family friendly, but you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. And we found out later on that the person that actually got pow at the restaurant was Kandi's cousin Melvin, who she actually talked a lot about how she helped raise him. He was featured on Kandi and the Gang. He was doing a lot of the cooking at the OLG. So apparently him and another person got into it. the person pulled out, they pow pow, and they pow powed him in the arm. Now, the reason why we know who this was is because he posted about it on Instagram. I won't post it here, but he actually posted the graphic of where it happened on his arm. And he did thank his granny for him still being here because he talked about being prayed for and all that kind of stuff like that. So anyway, um I don't know, I haven't found out any word on who the other person was that did the damage, but we are going to send up some prayers for Kandi and her family, especially for Melvin, as he recovers and gets through this. I know that he's an essential part to their business, as he is one of the chefs there at the restaurant empire that they have. So we want to send out some thoughts and our prayers to him, because I feel like um it's such a terrible situation, and I hate that it happened, especially right now, as we're going into the reunion, and it's just a lot happening for Kandi, and I just kind of feel like it just it's just a tough situation. And we also want to send up some prayers for Destiny and her situation, because she is wanting people to rally around her as well, and we can send some love and support her way as well, because we definitely want to see her win. I think sometimes it feels like we want to see Destiny win a bit more than she does. Okay. Um, and I'll leave it at that. With that being said, I love y'all, and I will catch y'all in the next video.